When you reach a certain age, say after 70, there's a quiet realization that life isn't about chasing more, but about choosing better. Better mornings, better energy, better peace of mind. You begin to see that the smallest habits, the ones you once overlooked, now hold the greatest power. I've learned this not from books or doctors, but from listening to my own body, to friends who've aged beside me, and to the quiet lessons time delivers when you're finally still enough to hear them. This video isn't here to overwhelm you with rules or make you feel like you've fallen behind. It's a gentle conversation about 5 simple daily habits that you can start now, today. And if you stick with them, I promise you'll look back 1 year from now and whisper to yourself, "Thank you for starting." These are not radical changes. No gym memberships, no miracle supplements, no fancy gadgets. Just water, gentle movement, nourishing food, and the kind of mental exercise that keeps you independent longer. And above all, the daily rituals that anchor your sense of self and dignity as you grow older. In a world that often forgets the wisdom of aging, these habits help you reclaim your strength, one quiet choice at a time. So if you're ready to feel stronger, steadier, and more alive, click subscribe, follow along, and let's start something meaningful. And before we begin, I'd love to hear in the comments, what's one habit you wish you had started sooner? Sometimes, the smallest shift in your morning can set the tone for everything that follows. I remember visiting an old neighbor of mine, Martha, a woman in her late 70s with soft silver hair and a spirit that never seemed to dull. She didn't move quickly anymore, but there was a calm energy about her that filled the room. I once asked her out of curiosity what kept her so grounded. She smiled and said, "I start every morning with water and a bit of lemon, not just for my body, but to remind myself that I'm still choosing to care for it." That answer stayed with me. Because at this stage of life, staying well isn't about big overhauls, it's about steady, small rituals that respect your body's quiet needs. As we grow older, we don't always realize that waking up tired, groggy, or even slightly dizzy isn't just aging, it's often dehydration. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep without a sip of water, your body, especially your brain, kidneys, and digestive system, begins the day on empty. And while it might be tempting to reach straight for coffee, your body is asking for something gentler, something that can ease you into motion. That's where a simple glass of room temperature water with a slice of lemon comes in. It rehydrates your cells, kickstarts your digestion, supports your liver, and gives your immune system a natural lift from the vitamin C in the lemon. It's not a cure-all, but it is a quiet beginning. And sometimes, that's all you need. There's something powerful about doing this one small thing for yourself each morning, before the world asks anything of you. It's not complicated. You don't need fancy supplements or powders, just water and lemon. What matters most is consistency. When you wake, before turning on the news or checking your phone, reach for that glass. If getting to the kitchen is tough first thing in the morning, make it easier. Prepare it the night before, leave it on your nightstand, and when your eyes open, let that be your first choice of the day. Hydration over habit. Over time, you may notice less bloating, fewer headaches, and a gentler digestion rhythm. More than that, you'll begin to feel a subtle shift, like you're taking back the morning in your own quiet way. And as the weeks pass, that tiny decision becomes a statement. I still matter. I still care for this body. I still have the power to start the day right. You see, aging gracefully isn't about surrendering to decline. It's about learning what helps, discarding what drains, and choosing what nourishes you in body, in mind, and in spirit. A glass of water with lemon may not seem like much, but when done with intention, it becomes a ritual of self-respect. And at this age, rituals like that are worth more than gold. There's a quiet truth we don't talk about enough. Some mornings, the hardest part isn't getting out of bed, it's believing your body will cooperate when you do. That moment when you swing your legs to the floor and pause, wondering if your knees will hold or your lower back will rebel, is something many people under 70 may never understand. But for those of us who've lived through enough years to earn our stiffness, we know that the smallest choices in the morning can shape the entire day. I remember watching my uncle, now in his early 80s, move with a kind of intentional grace I never noticed when he was younger. One morning, I asked him what had changed. He said simply, "I learned to greet my body before I asked it to carry me." And for him, that greeting came in the form of 5 quiet minutes of stretching, before coffee, before shoes, before anything else. It's easy to overlook stretching because it feels too simple. But aging isn't about complexity, it's about wisdom. And wisdom says loosen the hinges before you open the door. When your muscles and joints have rested all night, they need a gentle reminder that you're still here, still moving, still showing up for life. Stretching improves circulation, reduces stiffness, and signals to your nervous system that you're not in danger, that you're safe to begin the day. For seniors, that message of safety matters. It calms the mind, softens the body, and gives you space to breathe into your own pace. I've seen how even seated stretches, rotating ankles, rolling shoulders, reaching slowly toward the sky, can restore a sense of confidence. You don't need a yoga mat or a class. You just need a bit of quiet, a willingness to slow down, and an awareness of where tension lives in your body. Many people after 70 carry pain they've simply learned to live with. But pain should never become the background music of your mornings. With daily, gentle movement, you give yourself a way out of that silent suffering. It won't fix everything overnight, but like water smoothing stone, it will work in your favor day by day. Stretching, especially when done with presence, becomes more than a physical routine. It becomes an act of self-respect. It says, "I care enough to start softly." And in a world that often expects you to push through discomfort or ignore your own needs, that's a radical kind of kindness. Over time, this habit builds more than flexibility. It builds trust between you and your body. It rebuilds balance. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds you that movement, no matter how small, is a gift you still have and one worth preserving. So tomorrow morning, before the day begins asking things of you, pause, reach, breathe. Let those 5 minutes be yours, fully. You've earned them. Just as the body stiffens without movement, the mind, too, begins to slow when we stop feeding it with challenge. After 70, this doesn't mean solving equations or reading encyclopedias. It simply means choosing to stay curious, to stretch the mind the way we stretch our limbs. I remember an old friend named Walter, who well into his 80s kept a tiny notebook in his shirt pocket. Every morning after breakfast, he would write down one new word he'd never used before. Sometimes it came from the newspaper, sometimes from the back of a cereal box. But to him, it wasn't about vocabulary. It was about staying engaged with the world, refusing to drift into silence. "I may forget where I put my keys," he once told me, "but I won't forget who I am." That quiet discipline became his anchor, and it left a deep impression on me. You see, keeping your brain active isn't about proving intelligence, it's about protecting dignity. Memory loss isn't just an inconvenience. It affects how we show up in conversation, how we feel about ourselves, and even how connected we stay to our families. But here's the hopeful truth. Your brain can still grow, adapt, and sharpen, even in your 70s and 80s. Each time you solve a puzzle, recall a recipe, or even try to name 5 towns you've visited, you're reinforcing neural pathways that preserve independence. And the beauty of this is that it doesn't require any special tools, just a willingness to stay engaged. For some, this might look like a crossword with morning coffee. For others, it's learning a new phrase in Spanish or teaching your grandchild a card game you used to love. These aren't just hobbies, they're protective habits, ways to keep your thoughts fluid, your focus steady, and your spirit feeling young. And the impact is far deeper than what's on paper. Mentally active seniors often report fewer feelings of loneliness, less confusion in day-to-day tasks, and even improved sleep. Because when the brain feels useful, the heart follows. You begin to trust yourself again, to feel sharp, to feel capable. There's another layer too, one we don't always talk about. Mental activity gives you stories, it gives you things to share when you pick up the phone or meet a neighbor at the mailbox. It restores your voice in a world that sometimes speaks too quickly to hear you. You don't need to impress anyone, you simply need to stay present in your own life. That's the deeper power of brain training after 70. It's a way of saying, I'm still here and I still care. So if you felt yourself drifting, forgetting, or pulling away from the things you used to enjoy, start small. Pick up a puzzle book. Keep a list of new words or places you'd like to visit. Use your mind like it's a garden. Tend to it with something new each day. Not because you have to, but because it keeps you close to the person you've always been. There's something deeply personal about the way we move through the world, especially as we grow older. Our steps may slow, but each one carries history. Places we've been, people we've loved, lessons we've learned the hard way. And yet, for many seniors, walking becomes less about the destination and more about whether we can still get there at all. I remember my Aunt Ruth, who lived alone in a small house on the edge of town. Every morning, without fail, she'd walk to the corner mailbox, even when she didn't have mail to send. I once asked her why. She smiled gently and said, "Because as long as I can still walk there on my own, I still feel like myself." That quiet sentence stayed with me for years. Walking, especially after 70, isn't just physical exercise, it's emotional maintenance. It keeps your heart strong, yes, but it also keeps your identity intact. It tells you that your body is still yours, that you haven't given up your rhythm to the recliner. And while 30 minutes might sound like a lot at first, it's not about speed or mileage. It's about showing up for your independence. Even a slow stroll around the block, a gentle loop in the garden, or pacing your hallway as music plays in the background sends a message to your body. I am still in motion, and I intend to stay that way. Of course, I understand that not everyone has the same mobility. Some joints ache more than others, and for many, balance isn't what it once was. But that doesn't mean movement has to stop. It just needs to adapt. I've seen incredible resilience in friends who do seated marches during television commercials, who lift their arms slowly as they breathe deeply, who roll their ankles while reading the paper. The form doesn't matter as much as the intention. What counts is consistency and the willingness to keep saying yes to life, one small motion at a time. There's also something peaceful about walking that isn't talked about often. It clears your mind, relieves pressure from thoughts that swirl too fast, and helps reset your mood. Many older adults I've spoken with say their daily walk is the time they feel most grounded, most clear, most connected to something greater than themselves. Whether it's the rustling of trees, the warmth of sunlight, or simply the act of being outdoors, walking brings you back to yourself gently. In that space, even 5 or 10 minutes of steady steps can calm your nerves, ease your breathing, and bring you back into your body in a kind, deliberate way. So if walking is possible for you, make it your gift to yourself each day. And if it's not, let gentle, low-impact movement be your way of saying, I'm still here and I still choose strength. In the end, it's not about the distance. It's about the decision to move through life, not away from it. There's a certain fatigue that settles in not just from age, but from being undernourished in quiet, unnoticed ways. It's the kind of tired that doesn't go away after a nap, the kind that lingers in your legs when you stand, in your hands when you grip a spoon, in your thoughts when you try to focus. I once sat across from a neighbor at a senior lunch gathering, a gentleman named Carl who'd recently turned 79. He told me he was feeling weaker every month, that no matter how much he rested, he felt like his body was slowly slipping away. It wasn't until a dietitian came to speak with our group that something clicked. Carl wasn't eating enough protein, and it was costing him more than energy. It was costing him strength, balance, and confidence. As we age, our muscles naturally begin to shrink unless we give them a reason to stay. That reason, more often than not, is protein, not in the form of heavy steaks or expensive powders, but in daily, consistent servings of simple, nourishing foods. Think of protein as the quiet worker behind the scenes, repairing tissue, maintaining bone density, and giving your body the raw materials it needs to keep you upright and active. Without it, fatigue sets in, recovery slows, and falls become more likely, not because you're clumsy, but because your body isn't getting the support it needs from the inside out. The good news is, adding protein doesn't have to be complicated. A boiled egg in the morning, a scoop of cottage cheese in the afternoon, a bowl of bean soup or lentils with dinner. These aren't drastic changes. They're steady reinforcements day by day, and the impact is often felt faster than expected. Many older adults I've spoken with say they begin noticing better energy within a week or two. They feel more alert. Their legs feel steadier when rising from a chair. Their hands don't tremble quite as much. These changes may seem small to others, but for someone trying to maintain independence, they mean everything. What's more, protein plays a quiet role in emotional stability too. When your body is nourished properly, your mind feels less foggy and your mood is more balanced. It becomes easier to engage in conversation, to enjoy small tasks, to participate in the rhythms of life that keep you socially and emotionally well. And when meals become intentional, when you begin to ask, what can I add to support myself, something shifts internally. You stop eating just to fill space, and you start eating to protect the life you've worked hard to build. So, as you prepare your next meal, pause for a moment. Ask yourself what will nourish you, not just satisfy you. Let each bite be a quiet promise to stay strong, to stay grounded, to stay ready for whatever the next day brings. Because feeding yourself well isn't just about food, it's about self-respect. And that at any age is worth every effort. The truth is, growing older doesn't mean losing control. It means learning to hold on to what truly matters. And often it's not the big dramatic changes that make the difference. It's the small, steady habits, the glass of water in the morning, the stretch before breakfast, the walk around the block, the quiet puzzle, the spoonful of protein, that quietly shape how you feel, how you move, and how you live each day. These are not just tips. They are tools for healthy aging, for staying independent, for living with clarity and strength. They help you protect your body, your memory, your dignity, and your peace of mind. So if any part of you has felt like it's too late to begin again, please know it isn't. You can start today with one small habit, then build from there. No pressure, no rush, just a quiet return to caring for yourself in ways that matter. 1 year from now, you might look back and realize that the simple things you chose to do each day added up to something bigger than you expected. And if any of these habits have made a difference in your life, or if you have a story of your own to share, I hope you'll leave a comment below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.